Welcome to another episode of Mike's Money Picks. Today on the podcast, week 10 of the 2025 college football season rolls on. This is our fourth video now for the week 10 slate, and we are here to break down the Friday night slate. It is a 3-game slate. It is quite ugly, but there is money to be made. And so we're going to tell you about all 3 games that are taking place on this Friday night, tell you what you can expect from each game, as well as who needs to be in or out of your DFS lineups, as well as any angles if you're looking to bet player props or maybe some sides and totals for these games. We've got you covered. Now, before we continue, make sure you hit that subscribe button. That way you can be with us for the rest of our college football content all season long, including our live show, which is going to be Thursday night this week, where we go live to break down the Saturday main slates. And if you're subscribed, you'll know when we drop content for every single college football DFS slate, as well as college basketball season coming up. Big slate Monday night. We're going to have a full breakdown for it. If you're subscribed, you'll know when that drops. Also, if you are watching this, please help me out. Hit the like button. It really does help me out a ton when you guys do that. I cannot stress enough how much I appreciate it. You know, a channel like this, it really does help me grow. And, this time of year is when I have a lot of growth, when it's college football season. Everybody's kind of in the thick of it. So without further ado, we got 3 games to break down. Let's go ahead and dive right in. So game number 1 is a battle in the American. Memphis heading to Houston to take on Rice. This is not the best environment for DFS, but yet at the same time, it's tied for the highest game total of the night. Go figure. You have to really look at Rice like their academy team. So, think about, generally speaking, do we see Army and Navy have a lot of really good game environments? Do we see Air Force have a lot of good game environments? I mean, this year there's been a few because Air Force just decided to play no defense, which, holy crap, that could sound really poorly taken out of context. But yeah, this Rice team, they're going to run an option offense. They're going to take a lot of time off the clock, lessen the number of possessions, which just generally creates bad DFS environments. However, Memphis still projected to score quite a bit of points. Memphis is 13.5-point favorites with a game total of 48.5, meaning the implied total is about 31-17 in favor of Memphis. Now, on the Memphis side, they are coming off of a huge emotional season-defining win against South Florida. Brendan Lewis, it's kind of like I said Brandon there the first time. So Brendan Lewis has been electric all season long. He's been particularly good in American Athletic Conference play. In his AAC games that he started and finished, he has been between 31 and 33 DraftKings points every single time. It's quite impressive. He is a dual threat quarterback who almost averages 1 rushing touchdown a game. It's quite impressive. He's also gotten you the 300-yard bonus once, which he did against South Florida last week. So ton of upside for Lewis. Objectively, he is the best quarterback play on the slate, and I don't even think it's very, very close. He's a guy that I'm going to be making sure to get to in a lot of my lineups. Even Rice is going to try to slow this game down. Memphis still projected 31. That's 4 touchdowns. He's going to account for probably 3 of them when you look at statistically how much touchdowns he accounts for. So I just think he's a great play, $8,100. And on a short slate like this, he's clearly the best. There's some quarterbacks out there that have some ceiling, have some arguments for him, but he's very clearly the optimal quarterback on this slate. At the running back position for Memphis, it is my favorite word. Some of y'all say a committee. And as somebody who is a teacher, as somebody who wears a lot of hats, not a fan of committees in the real world, not a fan of committees when they're running backs either, especially in DFS. So for Memphis, it is 2 backs. That's the good news. It is Greg DeRosier, if you're using the French pronunciation, and then Sutton Smith. Here's the problem. DeRosier has been significantly better since he's been back healthy. In the 4 games that DeRosier has played, 41, 17, 23, 19. Pretty consistently, double-digit targets every game, caught 4 more passes in 3 of those games. Sutton Smith in those 4 games has not topped 10 carries. However, the carry share is a little bit closer than the price tags would indicate. So what I'm saying is that there's going to be a game where Sutton Smith is pretty close to DeRosier in carries. And if Sutton Smith happens to get the touchdowns, then Sutton Smith's going to be the guy that you need. There's certainly a chance of that happening here on this slate. So for that reason, if you're playing enough lineups, I would be playing both DeRosier and Smith in some of those lineups. However, I would not be playing both of them in any single lineup. I just don't think that there's enough upside there with this game environment being what it is, with Brendan Lewis being who he is as a dual threat stealing carries as well. The both of them can put up, worthy scores in the same game. So I think if you're playing enough lineups, you're going to want to play some DeRosier, play some Smith, but not DeRosier and Smith together. At the wide receiver position for Memphis, look, this is like a one-man show, pretty much. It is Cortez Braham. He significantly leads the team in targets, 46 on the season in 8 games played. That is 6 a game, which is not a whole lot. Just goes to show you how much this team runs the ball. But Braham has shown us the ceiling, right? He has 3 games over 26 DraftKings points. 2 of those have been against American athletic competition. The other one was against Arkansas. So, like, you could argue that that's against American athletic competition as well. My apologies to all Arkansas fans out there, but they're bad. So Braham's been really good, right? Second on the team in targets has been Jamari Hawkins. He is yet to put together a game of more than 12 DraftKings points, but he is very clearly second on this team in targets, 31 season through 8 games. That's a little under 4 a game. It's not great. I would rather just get to Braham, and I really think the only reason you would want to play Hawkins is if you're playing a ton of lineups and you want to cover a lot of different angles to stack Brandon Lewis. Marcelo Bussey is third on the team in targets, but I don't really have a lot of interest. I'd rather pay the extra $100 to get Hawkins, and like I said, I'd rather pay to get Braham than Hawkins. Now, on the Rice side, Rice has run this option offense, right? And so they've had a converted wide receiver, Chase Jenkins, play quarterback. It's had some ups, had some lows. If you exclude his best performance, which was against Prairie View A&M's an FCS opponent, he has only put up 20 DraftKings points in a game once. That makes it really hard to target him here, especially against this Memphis defense, especially when Rice is only projected to score 2 touchdowns. But the good news is that because he is an option quarterback, he is very much the engine behind this offense. And so if this game does shoot out, if Rice does hang with Memphis, it's going to be quite likely that it is going to be Chase Jenkins who is getting there in value because of the fact that he is going to be doing so much with his arm and his legs. Now, the guy I really want from this offense for Rice is Quentin Jackson. So the way the option offense works is, because I actually played in this offense in high school, so I know a little bit of the workings and what they call it. I don't know if they still call it this, but the B-back is the guy that is the dive option in the triple option more often than not. And this tends to it's the most volume because most teams want you to give it to the B-back, and that way it avoids getting the ball in the hands of your quarterback. And the more explosive runners, they're your pitchbacks, the A-backs, right? So Quentin Jackson is the B-back. He is going to see the most rushing volume. He's pretty good. He's coming off a 54 DraftKings point performance against UConn. Obviously, his season high. That's not too much under his season total prior to that. But, he had previously 2 games over 20. He's solid. He's going to get the volume. And if, this Rice offense has any success, it's going to be because of him. And then you've also got Dalen Alexander, who is like the backup B-back. I'd rather just play Jackson, just my point of view. Now, the A-backs in this offense are at the wide receiver position. So you are going to see some carries from this Rice team from guys that are, traditionally lined up receiver. That I would he's used as kind of like their all-around offensive weapon is Aaron Turner. He is their best A-back, but he doesn't get a ton of volume, so it really relies on him to hit explosives to get home, and he hit a lot of explosives. He only has 2 rushing touchdowns on the year. He only has 1 play more than 32 yards all season long. That's not great. I would rather at this position target a guy like Drayden Dickman, who's a traditional wide receiver. Even though the passing volume is lower for Rice than it is most teams, Dickman still sees a ton of it. He is still near the top of the slate in terms of total targets. He's 4th on the slate with 43 targets on the year. So I do think that in an environment where Rice is going to have to be passing, I don't mind taking a shot at Dickman. You've also got Braylon Walker didn't play in their last game. I can't really mention him. Landon Ransom Goals was one of the better receivers for them last year. Hasn't really done a whole lot this year. Could he turn his season? I mean, maybe. But I really think with this Rice team, it's super condensed the way they run things. You can play the QB Jenkins. You can play the B-back Jackson. You can play the A-back Turner, or you can play the true wide receiver Dickman. I really wouldn't fault you for just sticking it to those 4 guys. Okay, so we had a little technical difficulties there. Hopefully we're able to get it all figured out. If you guys saw some blank screen for a while there, I do apologize. Anyway, before we continue, I do want to mention there are places where you can get more information from me. First off, you can follow me on Twitter at Mike's Money Picks. It's where I tweet out all updates for the show, as well as if you're looking for any advice, questions, whatever, I'll gladly answer them if you reach out to me on Twitter. Also, I'm in the Fantasy Corner Discord. Link is in the description on YouTube as well as on the audio feed. If you're looking for a community to be a part of where you can talk DFS for a lot of different sports with a lot of people who are really good and really smart, then the Fantasy Corner Discord is the place for you. Have a blast being in there, just talking lineup, talking strategy all day, and then sweating it out together. It's just a really good group, and it's entirely free. Cannot recommend it enough. You're just looking for people to talk DFS with. And then lastly, if you want to know who actually makes my college football DFS lineups, head on over to the Patreon, patreon.com/Mike'sMoneyPicks. I post my core plays for every single college football DFS slate with full write-ups. You not only know who the core plays are, but you know why they're the core plays from somebody who knows what they're talking about with this stuff. All right, now let's continue on with the next game. Battle in the ACC, little ACC after dark action. Actually, I guess you can't really call it after dark. It's only 7:30. Actually, it does get dark before 7:30 on the East Coast now. So we've got UNC taking on Syracuse. The Fighting Bill Belichick's are 2.5-point underdogs with a game total of 45.5 points, meaning the implied total is about 24-22 in favor of Syracuse. And y'all, I'm going to be honest, I'm going to have some bets on North Carolina in this game. I really like what I've seen out of North Carolina coming out of the bye, looking improved against Cal. Really one play away from winning that game, one play away from winning the Virginia game. Why are you not taking points and kicking field goals in the red zone, Bill Belichick? I really like what I've seen out of them. I think Syracuse is quite bad. So I'm going to be putting some bets in on North Carolina in this game. I really like their chances. Now, for North Carolina, I've been banging the drum for this guy all season long. Gio Lopez is their quarterback. He's not the problem with this team. He does not have a lot of help with the offensive line. He does not have a lot of help at wide receiver. He does not have a lot of help with the innovativeness and creativeness of his scheme. And he's a little bit of a dual threat, but that's been a little bit neutered this year. And he was really good in South Alabama and putting up stats. That's been neutered this year in this offense. And I think it's only a matter of time before he just randomly has an explosion game where it's just one of those like, I'm him, I'm that dude type of game. And it wouldn't shock me if it was against Syracuse. Syracuse secondary is really bad. Syracuse is 121st in the nation in passing yards allowed. So while the scoring for Lopez has not been all that impressive, you're going to get a guy on this slate who is low owned on a pretty bad quarterback slate, if I'm being honest, and with a ton of upside with a good matchup. So I really like Gio Lopez here on this slate. At the running back position, it's a committee, y'all. And it's a three-headed committee, which is like the worst kind of committee. So last week, Benjamin Hall did lead in total carries with 11. It's the second straight week he's led in carries. Damon June, who was kind of our guy like near the start of the season after how he did against Richmond, has been okay ever since then. Hasn't had a game above 9 DraftKings points ever since that game against Richmond. It had 9 carries last week, so he's very clearly behind Hall in the pecking order. And then Davion Gauze, the guy that we thought was going to start the season for them at the running back position, was used in the passing game, caught a touchdown against Virginia, had 3 carries for 30 yards. Not overall workload great, but in terms of effectiveness, he's been more effective than the other two. So how's this going to go for this game? Man, I don't know. I really don't know. Caleb Hood was a factor at the start of the season. He's not a factor anymore, so it really is a three-headed monster. But I don't think you have to invest in this, and I'm probably not going to. At the wide receiver position, what I do like about North Carolina is they are pretty much exclusively thrown to 2 guys now. It is Jordan Shipp and his Kobe Paysor. Jordan Shipp in the Virginia game had 7 for 67, which would have looked really good if he scored a touchdown. He only scored against Richmond. He has not scored a touchdown against FBS competition on 25 catches against FBS competition, but Shipp still has a pretty big target share, consistently a part of the offense. $5,500, very reasonable, great matchup like Shipp. And then I like Kobe Paysor, who came back from injury, was not effective at the start of the season, and now he has. Against Cal, he went 6 for 101. Against Virginia, he went 3 for 53. He's getting some downfield targets, and Syracuse is a team you can take downfield shots against. So I really do like Paysor at 4,600. If you're looking to stack Gio Lopez, it doesn't get any simpler than that. There are 2 guys you want to go after. Now, for Syracuse, here's what's really lame. Ricky Collins, who has been the starter ever since Steve Angeli got injured, has been pretty much declared that he's going to split snaps in this game. That he might not start. I would assume the guy that they would start would be Luke Carney, who has played very minimally. He played a little bit in the third quarter against Pitt and a little bit in the blowout against FCS Colgate. I don't know, but you can't play Collins if he's splitting snaps, and I have no interest in Carney even if he does play. So it's just it's bad. It's real bad. Probably not going to play either of them. Now, granted, if you want to really go super galaxy brain and play Collins, could you maybe? I mean, UNC is a true pass funnel. They're ranked 20th in rushing yards allowed, really tough on the ground, 111th in passing yards allowed, really not tough through the air. Collins, if he were playing a full snap load, will be in my player pool, but I don't think I can get to him if he's not playing all the snaps. At the running back position, Yassine Willis is the starter. He is the workhorse. He's been pretty bad since the Tennessee game, which is really frustrating because we saw the potential there. You know, he was great in the red zone. You know, that's an SEC defense, and he just hasn't been able to get going ever since, which is really annoying. And what they've done recently is they've really played Will Nixon a lot on passing downs, and it's not working out for either of them because neither of them are really doing a whole lot, right? And so it's just annoying. And this is with a true pass funnel defense in North Carolina. I think you can avoid the Syracuse running backs here on this slate. Now, at wide receiver, what's interesting is Syracuse, we talked about at the start of the season, because their passing volume was so much that they were able to kind of feed multiple receivers and have multiple receivers be successful, right? Since Ricky Collins took over and their passing success went down, we have seen them really condense their receiving tree, like their target shares, into two guys. It's been Jonte Cook and it has been Darrell Gill Jr. I'm cool playing both of them. Gill had been really bad ever since the Colgate game. Well, guess what? Now he's got back-to-back games with 4 more catches, back-to-back games with touchdowns. Sign me up for more Darrell Gill. Cook is the most talented one, the best one, in my opinion. You know, he's had in the last 4 games, he's had 3 of them over 6 catches. So I do think that those are the 2 guys you're going to want to look at. Ross Simmons and Villari, yes, they're still parts of the offense. They're not total nothings, but really Cook and Gill are where I'm going to focus my efforts on this offense. All right, now, last game of the night, we got a battle in Conference USA. Thank the Lord Conference USA is getting rid of the midweek stuff after this week. I'm kind of tired of this conference. It's nothing against them, but it's definitely the bottom rung of FBS football. The injury reporting is bad, that the coach is doing coach speak. Well, I don't know if he's going to start or not. It's super annoying. And these offenses are really annoying. So I'm kind of glad to be done with them for the most part. Anyway, in this game, Louisiana Tech is 16.5-point favorites with a game total of 48.5 points. The implied total is Louisiana Tech 33-13. Sam Houston is one of the worst teams in all of FBS football. And I don't know if you guys remember me mentioning this or not, but back in week 0, I had to do some really big deep dives in order to try to figure out who was going to be starting, who was going to be the key members of the Sam Houston offense when they took on Western Kentucky. I watched a lot of Sam Houston content on YouTube. It still shows up in my recommended feed, and it's quite annoying. No one should be recommended content on Sam Houston football. I have pity on anyone who is. So Hunter Watson is the starter. He's a dual threat, left the UTEP game early. He's not bad, right? Like for what he is, he's not bad. Last year, we saw a lot of production out of him, mainly due to his running. Longo has not really used the running for Watson as much as I would have liked to have seen, and that has led to him lowering his overall output. But Louisiana Tech is not a great defense. They're ranked 112th in passing yards allowed, but they are 17th in rushing, so they really are a pass funnel. So maybe this could be a good game for Watson. I do like him. I do like the price tag. I'm probably going to get to him here on this slate. At the running back position, here's where we have a problem for Sam Houston. They don't run the ball a whole lot, and when they do, it's a committee. Alton McCaskill is the guy that started the season off for them. He's the best one. He's the most talented one, but they're also going to give carries to Elijah Green when he's active, and they're also going to give a lot of touches to Landon Coco Brown. I learned his nickname is Coco from some of that Sam Houston YouTube content, so shout out to you guys for that. Landon Coco Brown is actually the most targeted player on the entire team from the running back position. That is what makes him enticing in DraftKings. Is Sam Houston trails in a lot of games. Hunter Watson has to check the ball down. A lot of it goes to Landon Brown. That makes him a really good option. Last time out, 22 DraftKings points against UTEP. Sign me up for some Landon Brown on this slate as kind of a low-owned running back play. At the wide receiver position, you don't have to play any of these guys. This passing offense has been so bad that it's just really, really hard to trust any of them to put up a whole lot of DraftKings points. The most targeted one on the season has been Malik Phillips. He is the starting slot, which is the position that on paper you want to be in the Longo offense, but he hasn't had a game over 11 DraftKings points all season. Second among receivers in targets is Grady O'Neal, but he is yet to have a game above 8 DraftKings points on the season. Third on the team in targets, hold on, I got to look down the list, is Chris Reed, if I'm reading that right. Yeah, Chris Reed. Where's he at? 3,200. Had one big game against Jacksonville State. Other than that, doesn't have a game over 8 DraftKings points. There's also Clavez Humphreys, who was a super explosive, super enigmatic player for them last year that hasn't played recently. There's also Michael Phoenix, a guy that the coaching staff hyped up all spring and summer, and his only recorded catches in 2 games. This is just, it's annoying. Avion Smith-Max, a guy that I've talked about before, because they used him quite a bit in the Western Kentucky game. He's been bad ever since. So you don't have to play any of these guys. If you're playing Watson, either stack him with Landon Brown or play him unstacked is what I would do. Now, on the Louisiana Tech side, Blake Baker, not to be confused with not to be confused with LSU defensive coordinator Blake Baker, both in the state of Louisiana. He's been okay ever since he's been a starter. Now, he's had games where he left early. He's a dual threat. He's had games where he hasn't been a dual threat, just a super enigmatic game log. But when you look at the games against competition that he finished, right, against conference competition, I should say, 33 against New Mexico State, okay, 5 against UTEP, weird, especially considering they won that game by 19 points, and then 24 against Western Kentucky. So in Conference USA play, he's been pretty good more often than not. Sam Houston is one of the worst teams in all of FBS football. Defensively, they rank 123rd in passing yards allowed and 103rd in rushing yards allowed. They're bad on both ways. Blake Baker's a dual threat. Play him at $8,500. The ceiling is there. So if I'm ranking overall quarterback plays on this slate, it's Lewis 1, Baker 2, probably Gio Lopez 3, Hunter Watson 4, Chase Jenkins 5, whatever Syracuse trots out 6. And I'm cool with that. At the running back position, here's what's really annoying. They have a 2-man running back committee that seems to alternate big games. Clay Thevenin had the big game last week, mainly due through the air, 6 catches for 52 yards. And then Amiri Wiggins had the big game 2 weeks ago where he went 14 for 67 and a touchdown against Kennesaw State. So those two seem to be alternating games, which makes me think that it's going to be Wiggins' turn, but there's no real way to predict it. If you're interested in playing this situation, the optimal way to play it would probably be to play both of them equally in some of your lineups, but certainly not all of them. Just because Sam Houston is so bad that it's quite likely that one of them is going to get home, but we really have no way of knowing on any given slate which one of them is going to be. Now, I continue to think that there is a Louisiana Tech wide receiver who's getting disrespected in terms of price. Devin Gandy's their best wide receiver, y'all. Last game out, 4 for 56 and a return touchdown. It was his second touchdown on the entire season. He's had some bad luck with touchdowns, but he is this team's most targeted player, especially in games that Blake Baker plays. So he's really the guy that I'm going to be looking for to target here in this Louisiana Tech passing offense. Eli Finley, the tight end, has had some ups and downs. He had one ceiling game, been mediocre ever since. And then Marleon Jackson is coming on strong lately, but I don't think you have to play him. I would rather play Gandy. Gandy's been a lot more consistent. All right, that is going to do it for this 3-game Friday night slate. I told you guys it was an ugly slate. I wasn't joking about that. I'm serious. But hey, next week we're back to kind of a more normalized slate. We get rid of some of the CUSA teams. Tuesday and Wednesday games become Maction, which is one of my favorite times of the year. And we will still have Friday night and Saturday night slates, which I am looking forward to. Now, reminder, this video helped you out in any way, please hit the like button. If you're watching on YouTube, helps me out a ton when you guys do that. I really do appreciate it. If you are listening on audio, you can rate and review. Really does help me out a ton. I really do appreciate it. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Join us on the live show Thursday night at 9:30 Eastern time, and check out all of our other content for all the other slates for week 10. If you're subscribed, you'll know when all the new content drops. If you want more from me, follow me on Twitter, join the Fantasy Corner Discord, and check out the articles on the Patreon. But that's going to do it for us here, y'all. Hopefully we gave you guys all the goods you need in order to build winning lineups for the Friday night slate. Best of luck to you guys on that Friday night slate. Thank you guys for watching and listening to this point, and I will see you guys next time.